The exit poll results show roughly a third of California voters feel the pandemic is the most important issue facing their state. Other top issues on voters' minds are homelessness, the economy, and wildfires. CBS News Elections and Surveys Director Anthony Salvanto joins us now with more. So, Anthony, what else are we learning from the latest exit poll data?
Hey there, Elaine. One of the things you want to look at, and polls haven't closed yet, so all of this is going to change, all of it's going to move, but these preliminary exit polls is that when you break down the most important issue into the people who are voting yes and the people who are voting no, you get a real tale of two elections here. Let me show you this. People voting yes, their top concerns were the economy, were homelessness, things that they have criticized Governor Newsom for, crime as well. And then you look at the people who are voting no. That would be, of course, to keep Governor Newsom in his job. And you get this wide gap where they say the most important issue was coronavirus. And that really, I think, picks up some of the resonance from the Newsom campaign, where they wanted to get their voters out and say he was better on dealing with coronavirus, and that he was saying he was better than all the Republican alternatives on that. So for his voters anyway, that seems to be resonating right now, Elaine.
As we've noted, Anthony, Latinos make up nearly a quarter of California's registered voters and are instrumental in the governor's survival tonight in this recall. What is turnout looking like among them across the state right now?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ed. It might be one of the key questions. I want to show you this slide right now. So in the recall, in the exit polls, that's people we've been talking to who already cast mail ballots or who voted today, it's 25%. That's the share that is Latino. And in 2020, it was higher. And it was 31%. And that's closer to what the registration is among all California voters. In fact, then when you look at what we think are the breakdowns from our analysis of the mail ballots already, and there again, you see lower levels of people who are Latino than you did in 2020. Now look, on balance, there are more Democrats registered Democrats who have cast ballots already. But having said that, you look at these numbers in the Latino breakdowns, and you have to think that for the no campaign, for the Newsom campaign, for any Democrat who wants to win statewide in California, that's not the pattern that they would necessarily want to see. And I would add very quickly that in the polling, Latinos were pretty split, even though they're usually a large part of the Democratic coalition in California.
Well, yeah, and this speaks to something we talked about earlier tonight with Sonia Diaz of UCLA at the center there that studies Latino voters and Latino societal patterns. And she said, you know, because so many of them are younger voters, less, and this is an academic term, mature voters, meaning people who are older and have been accustomed to voting over multiple cycles, that they may not be as accustomed to this concept of a recall. I mean, 18 years ago, as we pointed out, there weren't that many Latino voters. Many of them may actually not have even been alive or were still in diapers. So this is a completely new phenomenon to them. And then I'd be curious if we find out eventually that there were concerns about the mail, given that there have been so many concerns across the country with Latino voters about, you know, filling out the census forms, going to get your vaccination, and concerns about immigration status potentially being a factor there. Who knows? But notable that they're that low tonight.
And, you know, that's a great point, Ed, because you think about it, especially if you identify as a Democrat in California, you start talking about a lot of voting, not just for a recall, but last year, of course, you had the high-intensity presidential election, a lot of mobilization there, and that goes for everybody. And then before that, you had the Democratic primary. So it's a lot of campaigning. It's a lot of politics. Look, we're political junkies, or a lot of our viewers are. But for people who aren't, yeah, I think you're right. It's a lot of voting. It's a lot of voting. And then you've got another one coming up in 22. So maybe we're not surprised, even if turnout is a little bit down from what we might have expected.
Anthony, I want to zoom out just a bit. President Biden campaigned for Governor Newsom in California on Monday. What do voters in the state make of the president's job performance?
Yeah, it's positive, right? And the voters so far in the exit polls tell us, on balance, they approve of Joe Biden. Maybe that's not totally unexpected, given that it's such a heavily Democratic state. But, you know, when I look at the map, and I'll take you back, speaking of Joe Biden, this is one of the things I want to emphasize as we go forward, which is it's a very blue state. And if I show you what happened in 2020, and you see all coastal areas of California, obviously the Bay Area, down through Los Angeles, down through San Diego, and even Orange County, all counties that Joe Biden won. When you start to look, and we're going to look at the correlations, the vote patterns between no votes tonight and these Democratic areas. And that's one of the things that we're going to be looking for, and it's going to be one of the things that's going to tell us whether, in fact, no really has the lead we think it had in the pre-election polling, is that connection with the Democratic, with the Joe Biden vote.
So it's 6:18 in California. It's 9:18 in the evening out here in the East. You've got about another 42 minutes left until the polls close in California. Realistically, how late could it be before we know the outcome of this race at this point?
Well, Ed, as we've said before, I think our record is going to stand, which is the, 5-6 days after November 2020, where we went straight through. I don't think it comes to that, but there's a couple of important things. One is that California routinely does not count all of its ballots on election nights, and everybody should know that. I mean, they'll count the majority of them, but a lot of late arriving ballots just has to be postmarked by today. Those are still to come in. I think we'll see the bulk of them, and the question's going to be, within a couple of hours of poll closing, does it look like there's enough of a lead, again, assuming the pre-election polls are right, there's enough of a lead for no that we get a sense of what's going on, or was there such a surge in turnout today, an election day, where more people were voting yes? And I think that may take a couple of hours to figure out, but that's kind of the landscape of it.
All right, it's all on you, Anthony. Oh, go ahead, Ed.
Well, I was just going to say the coverage continues through the night here on CBSN, because we're going to be relying on our friends out west at CBSN LA, CBSN Bay Area, CBSN Sacramento, and we're going to be simulcasting them across the country. So if you're one of those that's interested, if you're in California and clearly concerned, watch all 4 of those options. And the 3 of us are going to be staying up late to help them out in the West. So I got my coffee. I don't know about you guys.
Oh,
but,
I have mine.
I'm ready.
I have mine. It's just off camera. It's right there.
Always stock up.
Anthony Salvanto, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.